What's going on, everybody? This is not a boxing video. I'm going to talk about wrestling for a little bit. I'm going to talk about my favorite wrestler of all time, Bret the Hitman Hart, um, and some of the commentary I hear once in a while. I don't. Quite frankly, I don't follow wrestling like I used to at all. Really, I haven't watched wrestling recently. I kind of knew I was not going to be that into it. Like even after Cody Rhodes won the belt, I just knew it. I just knew I wasn't going to be into it. Um, but it's just I don't know. I don't know if I just because I'm older or what. I just can't really get into wrestling like I used to. But I do watch a lot of like a lot of the Dark Side of the Rings. I watch a lot of shoot interviews. I watch because I find all that stuff very very fascinating. I just do. I find it more fascinating than the actual product today. Um, and there's things the product could do today that will get my interest, but it's whatever. But I gotta talk about Eric Bischoff for a little bit, man. Um, Eric Bischoff is like so concerned about Bret Hart, and he's always talking. He's always throwing shots at Bret Hart. Um, and we're gonna talk about a couple of things, bro. But let me play this real quick. Let me play this.
Up, Dave? He says, Eric, do you believe
This is from 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, his podcast. The title of the video is Eric Bischoff, Why is Bret Hart So Damn Miserable?
Bret Hart will ever say anything good about you? I hope not.
Oh, good old passive aggressive response. All good.
That, because I don't expect him to, and it would ruin my expectations. It would make me realize that I can't read everybody as well as I think I can. Look, Bret's one of those people that just loves being miserable. He's got to have somebody to hate. Just look at Bret's commentary over the last 15 years, 20 years. He hated Vince, and he hated Shawn Michaels, and he made up with Vince, and he made up with Shawn Michaels. He hated Ric Flair, he made up with Ric Flair, hated this guy, made up with that guy. He's just he's just such a miserable guy. I saw him in Australia a couple of weeks ago, a month ago. And, yeah, we were friendly. I said hello. Said hello to his wife. She's very nice lady, beautiful lady, but very pleasant. And no tension or anything. Just hey Rick, that was it. And I hear him, and it's just so whiny and dark. And honestly, I'm not saying this to be a smartass. I really hope he just finds a way to get fucking happy. Like, smile. I'd love to see a picture of Bret Hart. So have you ever seen a picture of Bret Hart with a smile on his face? No. I've seen two in 28 years. The rest of the time, he looks like he's at a funeral. It's like, what the fuck? You know, bats and hounds always look like sad. Bloodhounds, they always just look mopey. Yeah. You give him a fucking T-bone steak and they still look mopey. Reminds me of Bret. Either or.
All right. Is Bret hating on Eric Bischoff? Is here's an assignment I'm going to assign everybody. Anyone who's watching this, shout out to Chicano Prophet. I'm going to give you an assignment, right? And I want you to find me a video anywhere, any interview, where Bret Hart talks about Eric Bischoff personally, like not his wrestling knowledge or his nothing wrestling related or business and the business of the business related, right? Like find me a clip, just find it for me, anybody, of Bret Hart talking about the way Eric Bischoff looks, about the way like his looks. Find me a video where he's talking about taking personal shots at Eric Bischoff, like his personal life and the way he looks in pictures and and commenting on how Eric Bischoff talks in interviews, and just find me something like that, please. Where there's some serious ad hominem attacks that have nothing to do with the world of professional wrestling. Find me some, just anything where Bret Hart is doing that. Anybody. Find me a clip of Bret Hart talking about the personal lives and personal matters of any professional wrestler, right? To attack them. Find me a clip of Bret Hart, talking about the way somebody looks in a picture, right? Just find me a clip of Bret Hart telling other individuals how to be. How about that? Their personal space. Why don't you be more happy? Why don't you act this way instead? Why do you have a face like that? Go ahead, find it for me. Anybody. Somebody find me the personal shots that have nothing to do with the sport of professional wrestling. Find it for me. Please. I want to see it. If Eric Bischoff wants to give his opinion about Bret Hart and the commentary that Bret Hart gives, which still gets numbers, he still gets invited, he still gets interviewed, okay, and people keep asking him a lot of the same questions to elaborate on a lot of stuff, and Bret Hart has been consistent for 20 years with everything. People want to know. But you tell me when he's taking personal liberties at somebody. Go ahead and find it for me, please. What does Eric Bischoff care? I'm expected to believe that Eric Bischoff really cares whether or not Bret Hart is happy. I'm expected to believe that. Like he really like. First of all, what is it to you if another man is happy? All right. Like, what is it to you? Like, what does it matter to you? What does that have to do with anything Bret Hart has said about you and your inability to, book him properly, at least from his standpoint, in WCW? What does that have to do with anything? Yes, he said you don't know shit about wrestling, you're horrible, you don't know anything about the business, and yeah, he said that. That's not a personal shot at you. He's not talking about how the way you look in photos and all this other dumb shit. He started talking and he looks mopey. What is that? What is it to you? What his persona is like and his personality is like? What the fuck do you care, bro? What does that even fucking matter? Somebody explain to me why that matters. What does that even mean? Oh, I'm just really, and they always cloak it in. It's like, I'm really concerned about Bret Hart. I really hope he finds. How do you know he's not like? What do you mean? Like you're around him all the time or what? Everyone keeps talking about how Bret Hart's a mark for himself, and I see the interviews, right? But it sounds to me, Eric Bischoff's a fucking mark for himself. Eric Bischoff really believes that when Bret Hart does an interview and he critiques him, that means he's unhappy with life. How do you know he's unhappy with life? We just said he's married to a beautiful wife. You saw him in Australia. What's Bret doing in Australia? It looks like he's traveling the world. I hope he finds happy. Oh, yeah, you're really concerned. Right. How do you know Bret Hart's not happy with life? Like, who are these dudes here, bro? Like that are. Why? Because he doesn't like the way you booked them in WCW? And people ask him about it because that was your fumble, bro. Now you could say, why are people still asking him about it? Because they are. Like, well, what do you want? Like, it is what it is. So today, July 10th of 2024, if you ask Bret Hart about what happened in Montreal, he's going to give you the same story. He doesn't change his story. Well, this is what happened. Boom, boom, boom. And then he elaborates on it because they're asking him to elaborate on it. And people think, oh, Bret Hart, he's still hanging on to this thing. Is it Bret Hart hanging on to it, or is it interviewers that are hanging on to it? And is it the people that want him to change the story that are hanging on to it? Who really is the mark here? Oh, he can't let go of the Bill Goldberg thing. Well, they're asking him if he's on if he's on that A&E special, right? And they're talking about when Bill Goldberg kicked him in the head. What do you want him to say? If he's doing an interview when What Culture's asking him about, hey, well, let's talk about when Goldberg kicked you in the head. What do you think he's gonna fucking say? So now, because of instant gratification, these sort of shorts people put out, and people, oh, here goes Bret again. He's still on it. He can't move on. He can't move on with life because look, they're asking him about these things. It just is what it is. So let's talk about Eric Bischoff for a moment. It's been 20 years, and the motherfucker still can't admit he fucked up and he fumbled the Bret Hart situation. Well, you fucked up, bro. Like you did a horrible job with Bret. When I hear his plans with Bret, they were just horrible. It was a horrible plan. Like, I brought in Bret because we're going to start the new show called Thunder. And I wanted Bret to be the head of my B show. Like, what are we doing here? That's what you're going to do with Bret Hart? What are you talking about? I don't care. I just didn't care about what happened in Montreal. I don't care about any of that. I don't care. Like, you don't care. I remember being in middle school, like anticipating, or it might have been like freshman high school, whatever it was. I remember like waiting for to see what the fuck Bret's gonna do on WCW. I remember being let down. I remember he walks out and then they announce him to be the referee. Like, to be a referee or enforcer. What? Like, what are we doing? That's what you're going to do with Bret Hart? That's it? Like, I couldn't believe what they were doing, bro. And if you understood how popular Stone Cold Steve Austin was, right? And Bret Hart just, he's the guy that put Steve Austin over. Like, he's the guy that WrestleMania 13 match, and yes, there was Austin 316 before that, but that double turn and that rivalry is what helped launched Stone Cold. That's the type of rub like Bret Hart had. Forget about the storyline part. Oh, it's fair. Yeah, it doesn't matter if he beats Stone Cold. It's a storyline. That's a dumb shit he says. You didn't do anything with that. You didn't do anything with that man. And you're expecting, what do you want him to say? Oh, yeah, Eric Bischoff, I mean, what an unbelievable, booker. I mean, the shit he did with me was amazing. Well, what do you want him to say? Because he's not saying that, right? He's unhappy with life. So you're going to talk about how he feels about life and you're around him all the time, I guess, right? You're judging him based off of his interviews about wrestling from questions people are asking him. And because he's been consistent all those years, he's still hanging on to it. No, people are asking him about it. He hasn't changed his story. He hated Vince. He hated Shawn. And then, okay. But he never shit on Vince the way he shit on you, though. He never shit on Shawn the way he shit on you. He might have been unhappy with them, but he respected their talents. He respected their wrestling mind. He still respected Shawn Michaels as a worker. He still respected Vince and his ability to have visions. He didn't respect your visions. He just doesn't. And I think it hurts Bischoff's ego, right? That Bret Hart just doesn't respect his wrestling mind. And it's okay if he doesn't like that. He could, if he keeps in the confines of pro wrestling, then okay. But you're not doing that though. Like you're talking about how the guy looks. The guy had a stroke, bro. Like I just don't. What else do you need to hear? The dude had a stroke. You're talking about like that affects the way your face looks. And you're talking about how he looks mopey. Fuck you, dude. You fucking like that's a piece of shit thing to say. It has nothing to do with professional wrestling. That's just the reality. Oh, he didn't like Bret. Do you not hear the thing? Like, are we really going to compare Bret Hart, right? Who I've never seen Bret Hart make a scene somewhere and get kicked out of a building or go on some fucking rant that he regrets, like Hogan did, right? He's never been caught on a racist rant. He's never been kicked out of a bar being fucking deliberate, like drunk. He's never attacked fans. He's never broken any laws that I know of anyway, right? He's never gotten in trouble like that. He's never. All Bret Hart does is do interviews and talk about the stuff that happened in his career. That's all he does. And people have a problem with it for some reason, right? Then keep having that. That's your problem. If you don't like what he's saying, that's your problem. If you don't like the way he looks, well, what is it to you? What, you want to kiss the guy or what? Like, what do you care about how he looks and how he? That has nothing to do with anything, bro. Will you ever say anything nice about Eric Bischoff? Why would he? If that's the way you talk about him. I wouldn't say anything nice about you either, quite frankly. And the fact that you can't just own it, bro. Eric Bischoff just won't own shit. Like he just doesn't own it. I just own it. Like you fucked up the Bret Hart situation. You had the hottest commodity, right? You had the hottest commodity in wrestling at the time, and you didn't capitalize on it. I don't care like what Scott Hall said. Oh, he wasn't good at the stick. No, that's not. No, you fucked up. I don't care what Scott Steiner says. Well, he just wasn't big. All of us were starting. No, Scott, you were never at the level of Bret Hart. All right? You just weren't. You never sold merch like Bret Hart. You never drew like Bret Hart. Stop. All right? Just stop. Go sit down. You just weren't at that level. Nobody ever said, I never met a person that said Scott Steiner is my favorite wrestler of all time. I'm not saying they don't exist. There are very few of them. I know plenty of people. Bret Hart's in their top 3, and some of them find him, like myself, favorite of all fucking time. He was that dude. All right? So I don't give a shit what these dudes have to say. You fucked up, bro. You fucked up bad. Like, that's just the reality. Bad, bro. I could think of a million things you got done with Bret Hart from the jump, but you fucked up. You sucked. All right? And you're butthurt that Bret Hart wasn't happy with how you handled him, right? As the head honcho of WCW. You're butthurt about that. You're butthurt when people point it out. You know it was a failure on your part. You don't like the fact you keep reminded about it. You want him to let it go. Well, how about this? Bret Hart doesn't have to let it go. If people keep asking him, hey, what do you think about Eric Bischoff? Guess what, Eric? He's going to say the same thing he's been saying for the last 20 years because Bret Hart is a consistent motherfucker. Okay? That's why. Why does his face look like that? Because he had a fucking stroke, you fucking asshole. All right? Why doesn't he smile on pictures? What the fuck do you care if he smiles on pictures? What the fuck is that to you? What do you care? How do you know he's not happy with life? What the fuck are you talking about, bro? That's a sign of an individual that doesn't have a really good argument or rebuttal to the arguments Bret Hart is making, right? You had a hot commodity and you dropped the ball. All right, you can talk about how Bret Hart he just wasn't the same guy and all this other dumb shit you want to say. You fucked up. All right, and you fucked up because you were letting Hogan run the ship, right? You were letting Hogan tell you what to do, and we know because Kevin Sullivan, who was one of the bookers, said so. All right. And there's no doubt in my mind, none, bro. There's no doubt in my mind that they conspired against them. There's no doubt in my mind. Not so much Eric, but like these guys, it's such like this whole like, oh, he's a mark for himself. Like, why didn't they ever go with Hogan then? Hogan is the biggest mark for himself in the history of everything, bro. It's crazy. Hogan changed finishes left and right. It doesn't work for me, brother. He can do whatever the fuck he wants, right? I never hear from Eric Bischoff, oh, he's a mark for himself. I never hear that shit whatsoever, bro. None. I never hear that shit at all, right? So I'm not going to say that. Shout out to Los Tres Chingon. I believe that's Cholo. Shout out to you, brother. My favorite of all time, too. Bret is the favorite of a lot of dudes. That's just the truth. And I think a lot of wrestlers, like, I don't know what it is, like they feel some type of way about that, right? They know, like, the people were with Bret. Like, they know they were. Like, they know it. They know Bret was over. They know he was a hot commodity. Whatever, right? So it's whatever to me. It's just some things I've heard, bro. Like, and look, God rest his soul and rest in peace to Scott Hall. I don't like. Look, I don't like talking bad about the dead. I don't, and I'm not going to attack him personally, but like Scott Hall tells his story, and he's doing it to kind of embarrass Bret, I guess, and make Bret out to be like a mark for himself, but I want you guys to listen very carefully, okay? Like, listen to me. So he tells his story. Oh, all the boys were in Calgary, and Bret Hart invited us to his house. Okay, we're doing a cookout or whatever, and then he led me into his home. And bro, it was like a shrine of Bret Hart, bro. He had pictures of himself, and he had statues of himself, and he had a picture of himself in his bedroom. And look, I don't know. I never been in there. I don't fucking know. I remember watching the Dark Side of the Ring, and I guess I didn't pay attention like to the walls to see it. Maybe I got to go watch that documentary to see if that's true. But so you're telling me right now that this man invited you to his home with his family, let you into his house, and you're not a mark for yourself. Oh, look at me. I'm not a mark, right? You feel the need to tell that story? This man let you into his home. This is crazy. Like, I remember listening to that, and I'm like, even if all that's true, why being a dick, bro? He invited you to his home. Just think about just think about that for a second. He invited everybody to a cookout, so everybody could hang out and chill. I'm sure he introduced everybody to his family and his kids and his wife. He let you into his home, and you can't wait to go on to do some interview and just try to shit on Bret Hart and talk about how he's a mark for himself. Oh, look at him. Look at his house. Look. Dude, are you kidding me, bro? I would never go to somebody's home as an invited guest, right? And even if I see something in the wall and I think it's corny as fuck, like, I'm not gonna go right on social media and tell her, oh man, this guy, you're not gonna believe the shit. He's so corny, bro. Like, that's a fucking dick move, dude. Okay? Dicks do that. And rest in peace. Sorry. Right? It's just what it is. I still love Razor Ramon. I still love Scott Hall. It's still one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, but I'm sure overall he was a great guy. But I'm just saying, in that specific case, it's just an example of dude just going at Bret. A honky tonk man's another one. So honky tonk man, right? after Bret got kicked in the face by Goldberg, because one time I guess Bret had said that Honky Tonk's punches, his work punches don't look real, right? They look kind of weak. Um, and as a wrestler, you want things to look, you know, look, I'm a boxing fan. None of those work punches ever look real to me, but still like look good or whatever, right? But like, so he does an interview and he's like, "Well, how you like me now, Brett? Huh? I bet you wish you were working with me. Now with Goldberg, who kicked you in the head, and now you're walking around. Like, what the fuck is that, bro?" Like, that's again because you're mad about what he said about your work punches. You throw a personal shot at the dude who had a fucking stroke. Scott Steiner's another one. Oh yeah, he was doing an interview and some fan went in there and took him down because he was too weak. And I think Bray had just finished like fighting cancer. Like this is crazy, bro. These so-called "I'm not a mark for myself" are so fucking jealous of this dude, bro. Like that's how you know someone's jealous. They throw personal shots. That's a clear sign when someone is jealous of you, bro. When they throw personal shots at you that have nothing to do with the wrestling business, that's a clear sign that they're jealous. All right? Like, does it really bother you? Even if he wasn't marked for himself, does it really bother you that much? It's fucking nuts, bro. And then Goldberg. Leave me alone. Just drop it. Kicked him in the head, bro. Like, what do you mean? And they keep asking him about it. Like, what do you want? People are going to keep asking Bret Hart about it. Nothing you could do. Nothing. What do you want? You know what I mean? You're going to keep hearing about it. It's not going to go anywhere. So, this is nuts. And then Goldberg's like, "Oh, if I wanted to hurt him, I would have hurt him." Like, no, bro, you could do a dick move. And like, I'm not saying Goldberg did it on purpose, but you could be careless and injure somebody. You could, like, there's a way to purposely injure somebody or hurt somebody, but you try to make it look like it was an accident, but it wasn't an accident. Again, I'm not saying that's what happened, but there's a way to do that. So like I think Goldberg believes that's like a great response, but it's not. Oh, if I wanted to hurt Bret, believe me, I would have hurt Bret. First of all, you did hurt Bret. That's number one. Second, you at best for you, that was a very careless kick. At best. All right. But something could be done on purpose, but not like but in a way where like you couldn't have that out like so you could make that argument. Oh, if I wanted to kick him for you, I could have done it. Because Vince Russo also said that when you speared him kind of hard and you were doing it very, very snug on purpose. And after he told you to be a little careful, right? And people want to blame Russo. Oh, well, Russo shouldn't have put himself in a position. Well, so Goldberg shouldn't be a professional? And then Goldberg said the same thing. Oh, if I wanted to hurt Russo, believe me, I would have hurt him. I wasn't trying to purposely hurt him. Well, I'm starting to see a pattern of behavior, Bill, because several witnesses were telling Vince Russo, and Conan attested to this in his podcast. Yeah, Goldberg was telling people he's really going to lay it on Vince Russo. So, I mean, come on, dude. Now, again, I do think the Bret Hart thing was more like you were careless, right? So it just is what it is. But that shit's crazy, bro. So it's just time for Eric Bischoff to just let it go, brother. Like, you fucked up. The consensus that you fucked up, and you've been trying to do damage control for the last 20 years, that you didn't fuck up, that you did your part, and Bret Hart didn't do his part, and now you fucked up. All right? You fucked up bad. Have you guys heard like Bischoff's explanation as to why like he was cool with like Hogan exercising creative control in the Sting match? Because he didn't look in shape, and we looked at each other and we're like, what? The fuck? What are you talking about, bro? Okay. Anyway. I know he heard that, but I know some people were saying that you know that he was gonna try to lay it in on him. Like, you know what I mean? It just is what it is. Like, um, you could do something on purpose in a wrestling ring, right? And try to pass it off like, oh, it was an accident. You know what I mean? Or I didn't mean to, or you try to keep it in some gray area where you have some plausible deniability, but you still want to injure the person. Um, so when Goldberg says something like, well, if I really wanted to kick him in the head, I could really kick them in the head. Yeah, I'm sure you could have kicked them harder, right? But it doesn't excuse the fact that you kicked them hard in the head, right? It's all I am saying. Yeah, I didn't like how Sting looked. Like, Eric, like, well, first of all, why weren't you managing the Sting situation? You're paying Sting, like you weren't making sure it was in the gym or something. What are you doing? Doesn't make any sense, bro. So that's why you allowed Hogan to fuck up an 18-month long storyline? It's fucking stupid, bro. And then you bring Bret Hart to restart the count. Like, what? Let me tell you guys how I would have booked the whole Bret Hart situation. If I had in that same time frame, um, I would have announced that Bret Hart would be making his professional debut at WCW at Starrcade. Is what I would have done. I would have I wouldn't have put him on TV. I wouldn't have put Bret Hart on Nitro to do some stupid interview, like to announce he's going to be the enforcer for the Sting match with Hogan. I wouldn't have done any of that. I would just announce that he's going to be having a professional wrestling match, and next week we will announce the opponent. The guy I would have put him in the ring with would actually have been Kurt Hennig, because him and Bret always had great matches, had great chemistry together. Hennig, I don't think had anything going on at that time anyway, because half of the roster had nothing going on. So I would have had him face the NWO's Kurt Hennig at Starrcade, is what I would have done. Of course, I would have had him go over, but that's when, like, I would make people like, you want to watch the debut, you got to buy it. And I would have had Hennig do the promos and the interviews, and I'm going to ruin Bret Hart's debut, whatever. Or I would have had tied in some type of like, is Bret Hart going to join the NWO type of deal, right? I would have had him put a sharpshooter on Kurt Hennig at Starrcade, beat him, so it's a good established win for him. And then I would have had Sting beat Hogan clean, right, in the main event, like they should have. If Sting was out of shape, it is what it is. Fuck it, you know what I mean? And then I would have started a program with Bret Hart and Sting. It was a dream match people always wanted to see, with Sting as the world champion. And I would have told Bret, look, you're coming from the rivals company, you got to do a favor, right? And I would have had Sting at the next pay-per-view or pay-per-view after that beat Bret Hart clean, so we could establish that our world champion is better than the WWF's world champion. To all the marks and all that, all the people following the storylines on both. And then from there, I would have, it would have been a match of two faces. So I would have, at that point, after establishing that, right, I would have had Bret Hart work some programs like his way back up and contend for the world title somewhere down the line again against maybe Hogan when Hogan got the belt back. But that's what I would have done. That's me. Maybe Bret wouldn't even like that, but that's what I would have done. All right. So yeah, even the bro, like Eric Bischoff's so stupid, bro. Like you guys know, right? So you guys listening, like, yeah, he did. Everyone I know, bro. I remember I was a kid, like you know what I mean. I was in middle school. Like I remember, like when I saw, like when I oh shit, Scott, like Razor Ramon is over there in WCW. Like what's going on, right? And he was talking like Razor Ramon, and WWF even sued him. All right. And then Kevin Nash shows up, and I'm like, what? And I still remember when they announced that Diesel and Razor Ramon were going to come back and had the fake ones, right? I didn't even know what to make of that at the time. I was like, holy shit, maybe they're going to come back. Maybe they're finished invading WCW, I guess, and they're going to come back. I don't know. I just didn't know what to make of it. But I still remember, like it's like, holy shit, they had like this. It's a WWF like invading WCW. Like, what's going on, right? And that's what got it over. And that's how they started winning the ratings. And then so and then of course the NWO storyline, and it went from there. But you hear Eric Bischoff talk about it, he's so delusional, bro. Like he's just well, the way I looked at it, it was like Vinny Vegas was coming back and trying to get revenge on the company. And Vinny Vegas, what are you talking about? What? And then like whatever Scott Hall's character was in WCW before he went to WWF, like nobody was even thinking about that. Like, what are you talking about? Like he swears it had nothing to do like with the illusion that WWF is like invading WCW. Like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? Like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. But one more thing. I hear Bret Hart tell stories all the time, um, where he's reflecting and happy and very fond of those memories. Like when people ask him about Andre the Giant, right? He gets very like kind of, I don't want to say emotional, but kind of like maybe nostalgic, and remembers his friend, and remembers like Andre being good to him, and he remembers like the matches he had with Andre the Giant, and how Andre the Giant loved his idea for the for the battle royal, and how he threw him off over to the anvil. And when they asked him about like the Hart Foundation tag team days, when they asked him about a lot of his matches at WrestleMania, when they asked him about the Iron Man match, when they asked him about the match with Stone Cold Steve Austin, when they ask him about certain things, like he looks at those things very fondly and he speaks very positive of them. And I hear him talk very fondly and positive about a lot of wrestlers all the time. Like this idea that he's always angry and he's always all he does is attack people, this isn't true. You're just not listening to the full interviews, right? And you're not getting the full context of everything he's saying because you're watching shorts, right? So it is what it is, right? With that said, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Bret Hart is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say. I'm out. Peace.